Alrighty, a bit of luck there. You've seen the harvest of the garden. I asked a little Asian lass, were those the miniature ones you bought? Those butterhead lettuces? She says, I don't know, I might have. And I got a funny feeling I did see miniature on the thing, so we picked a whole bundle of them, and the bugs are getting into some of them. Some of them, I know exactly what causes this. It's the speed of the blasted seeding machine. They must be running the pants off it. Instead of having the one lettuce in one propagation cell, they've got like three. And that's what happens when you run the machine too fast. You don't get one seed in the propagation cell, you get several because it's just going too fast. And that's happened. So some of these lettuces are small and stunted because there's been three planted in the one cell and then there's too much root competition. But the ones where there's one planted in the cell, there's no root competition. So anyway, we, as you probably saw, got a pretty phenomenal harvest. Most of the broccoli went ahead and we picked just about the bloody lot of it. But this is sprouting broccoli, so we're going to pick some every week. Asian girl made up a little donation box, and lo and behold, one of the Asian women come over. They're renowned for living as poor as chips. They'll have, like this Asian girl, she's in a bunk bed, the same one she had 9 years ago, and her sister's sleeping in one of them, and she's in the other bunk. And they're like that, you know, the bed hasn't broken, what's your problem? Keep using it. And then when it comes to cars, they'll just go, bang, buy $15,000, $20,000 car in cash. You may have heard of Vietnamese doing similar things. But anyway, as she's there making up a little donation box for the vegetables and all that, one of the girls goes, yeah, no worries, just whips out $100 and gives to her, and I'm like, okay then, we're going to be definitely planting stuff in spring and summer. She's got to do onions. Asian girl's very, I think it's actually just having too much on a plate, but it seems a little ADD. She will change her mind rather quickly and stuff, and then forget those ideas a week or two later. And as you guys know, I don't work like that, but that's how she is, and it may just simply be a combination of just too much stuff on a plate at once as she's trying to work, go to university, and start all these church-related things all at once. And she did have the idea last week of doing onions, and this week, strawberries. So I said, she goes, strawberries growing? I go, yeah, they'll be fine. She wanted to plant mint, and I said, whoa, actually, you might want to find a big pot and plant it in a flaming big pot. I said, just go easy. Oh, we could plant mint in one of these cedar boxes. And I said, no. It will run away and it'll be growing on the roadside within flipping a few years. You know, you guys know what mint's like. I know what mint's like just from growing in the IBCs and it all seeds, and now I have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. But fortunately, they're in an IBC only because the soil level in the IBC is 6 inches lower than the top of the IBC, and I'm flaming lucky the seeds didn't just blow out and start running all over the place at my house. Anyways, which reminds me, I've got to go and weed the native mint too. Anyway, there's been a bit more of a kerfuffle on the horizon. Fucking hell. They got this concept over here which, when it first came out back in about 95, the media compared it to slavery. And it's what they call work for the dole. Now, the dole is basically the welfare system, but they want you to do work to receive welfare money. Let me tell you, it is a hell of an instigator to get young people who have come out of school to find a job bloody quickly, and not just young people out of school. I was told it would... They kept giving me the figures for people under the age of 30, and no, I'm over the age of 30, and they told me it'd be 6 months off. Hang on, I'm just uploading stuff as we speak. Come on, damn it. And yeah, they said, oh, it'll be 6 months from when you sign up. The 6 months come, I was gritting my teeth, and I'd got in this job, and it was starting to get going. I was getting 15, 16 hours a week with this removalist. Well, unfortunately, one of the old employees come back, and because he knew what he was doing, and I wasn't fully trained, obviously, and nowhere near to the skill level of this guy, you know, I just sort of took a bit of a back seat. Yeah, I needed to be getting at least 15 hours a week, as I had been, to avoid all this. And I thought, I'm fine. Got it in the bag, 15 hours a week, 16 hours, fine. Well, won't be a problem. We're told our hours are going to increase as the weather gets warmer, and then it dropped back to a day, and sometimes only a short day, like 4 hours a week, and that might even be a fortnight. And I thought, that's funny, it hasn't happened after 6 months. And then we get to about the 8-month, 9-month mark, and she rings me up. They're supposed to ring me and have a little chit-chat and organise things on Tuesday. And I sat there, had to drive away from my house to get within a decent range for my cell phone. It'll pick up, but it's very patchy and it cuts in and out, and you don't want that when you deal with this welfare office. You know, they specifically tell you, go and find a good spot and make sure your phone's charged. So I did that, and I waited from 2:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. and no call. The next day, she rings and tells me, guess what? The game's up. You're going to be shoveling mulch 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, and basically I would burn up so much fuel to get to where I've got to go, because, you know, where I am is just friggin' paddocks and shit, but where I've got to go is inside the city that I am grabbing free Wi-Fi from out of a particular government library. Well, quite literally, just over the back over there, I believe, was one of the gardens they made as part of work for the dole. And quite literally, I would blow half of every dollar I was given just in fuel, going in 5 days a week, to shovel mulch in the bloody rain for no more money than I'm already getting. Yeah, it wouldn't be good, and it may last for damn well 6 months. And she's saying, well, if you're doing a few hours, we can get a combination mix where you do, you know, only 2 or 3 days a week shoveling this mulch, and then the rest will be covered because you're doing somewhere. Or you can just get a full-time job. And I just hit the panic mode. And Thursday, I went bongo drums and applied. There's a particular large website that's got a lot of jobs on it, and I had heard so many times about it and never used it. I went and I used it like I used it a lot, and I applied for 29 jobs, and by Friday I have pretty much secured one full-time job in a warehouse in the capital, which is only a lousy, it's going to be nearly 2 hours drive to get there. But, you know, it's about $24 an hour. It's a full-time job, and yeah, and I also got an interview for another one that's, it's only a few miles back in the other direction. Get on with this first job anyway. It's warehousing, and I believe she said paint pot stickers. Now, I think that means basically labels for paint tins, and it's a whole warehouse full of those. And you got to go around and pick, and I might barely know how to do picking. Yes, I have been in a warehouse, but only for about 6 weeks. And I'm not really a scanner person. And I can drive reach forklifts, not terribly good, because I've only had about probably 8 weeks experience with those. You get me on a counterbalance forklift and you will see me do shit that you did not know was possible, and if you tried it, you would give yourself a heart attack even trying. I am exceedingly skilled with a counterbalance forklift. I drive it like it's an extension of my hand. That's what you get from 3.5 hours of sometimes driving them 14 hours a day. You get very skilled. Anyway, you got to load trucks. I hope to hell I can get more into the truck loading business than the running around with a scanner picking business. But anyway, I think a lot of it involves a lot of forklift. Well, I know most warehouses involve a lot of forklifting and a lot of pickers, and hopefully we may very well be lifting stuff. I think it's you give them pallet by pallet, not box by box, which means that I might be picking while I'm on a forklift. So anyways, if so long as the damn software on these scanners is all right, we will be fine. But anyway, that's the one, and I believe I have actually secured it, because Monday I have to go up and give them my tax file number, my superannuation details, and my bank details. And it was through one of those day hire, the labour hire companies. And with those guys, they, you know, as soon as they know you've spent as much time as you have on a forklift, there's essentially no interview. With the other job, it was through a normal job agency, which means that they refer you to the employer. You know, you get shortlisted as being one of the good ones, and then the actual employer rang me directly and said they want an interview on Monday, and I said, I can't do Monday, can we do Tuesday? Okay, Tuesday morning. And it's only a few miles less. I believe it's another $4 or $5 an hour more. But it involves driving. Those of you who, and I know there's plenty of guys who drive trucks, I've spent a lot of time driving Isuzu 550s. The 550, not too big, medium rigid, you fit 10 pallets on the back of it, you know, and I'm pretty good with those. You know, even sometimes through tighter areas, I'm all right with them too, but there's nothing like, you know, just, well, this city, the traffic isn't very bad. In the capital, it is, it is nearly, the traffic jams are 6 times as bad. The busyness of it is probably 3 times as busy. It's not very good, and they want me to drive basically a heavy rigid, which may very well be an Isuzu 950 or a Isuzu 1200, and I've got to drive that through the middle of shopping strips in the capital, and I don't know if that's something I really want to do. It may be a little bit out of my depth, and I know from having delivered stuff to bakeries once, the old, you know what I mean by a Pantech, that's your big box on the back of your truck. Yeah, there's a particular street with a bit of a curve on it that's the main one in this city, and yeah, I got this little tiny Isuzu 250, little pipsqueak ones, in next to this bakery. Not to realise the Pantech was too high, and I smacked a friggin' veranda, or I slapped a road sign pretty good, and sort of, yeah, something got dented anyway. I can't remember which exactly, because it was a few years ago, but, you know, and that's under only a third as bad conditions, only in a little Isuzu 250, and you try and get me to do the same thing with a heavy rigid, oh, I don't think it's going to happen. It is in the morning. It is actually, they have trouble getting people, I would believe, because you might have heard of bakers who start at 4:30 in the morning or 5 a.m. This one starts at 3 a.m. start. You don't have a social life. You don't have a social life. It is as simple as that if you have this job. And I may be a little bit out of my depth. And I'm supposed to know all the roads in and around the capital, and I sort of know about 3 or 4 outer suburbs on the western edge. That's about it. So yeah, but anyway, it doesn't matter, because I think I've got the lower paid job that might be another, what are we talking about, 6 miles further to get to, maybe 7 miles further. No, it's probably not even that. It's probably only, yeah, it's probably only 5.5 miles or something like that further in. But that's pretty much, we got that in the bag already, just so long as we don't do anything stupid with a forklift. But hey, I've had so many hair-raising expectations, you know, go and put that thing on something that is taller than a house roof. By the way, it's got to fit within a couple of inches either side. You got 3 inches either side, and you got to fit it up there, and guess what, I'll do it so long as I can see. And that's why sometimes I'm hanging out the side squinting, because it's so hard to see, because it's so bloody tall, but it doesn't do my nerves in. And we used to stack stuff ridiculously high in the dark against glass houses when I was at the nursery. And I tell you what, this stack was... Some of these stacks were 20 yards tall, directly up against a glass house. Well, they had a little barrier, like you have on roadsides, especially around steep areas of roads. You know those roads, so they had one of those, and that was what it was stacked up against. But you give it a little tap too much or whatever, and you're going through a lot of glass, and you would probably break about $1,000 of glass, but I never did, ever, in the 2 years that I worked there. Anyway, yeah, so that's the go, and we'll be in a full-time job, and we'll be probably driving 4 hours a day. But the fact of the matter is, the auto plant here has closed 2 days ago and booted 860 people out on their arse. And there is I already can't find a job here very easily after handing out more than 47 resumes. And I realised that no, this is not happening, and I've been living on promises of more work with this removalist, and I see even some of the guys who have worked with him for 2 years out in public on weekdays that they are obviously having a day off, even though they're some of his main men. And I'll take a little sneaky look at the whiteboard behind the boss's office desk, and it looks not very good at all. Not. And they've since had another new guy start as well. So before too long, I've got to make a phone call to the boss's wife, which I don't really feel like making, to tell her that I think the game is just about over, but I can still come in on Saturdays. Yes. Actually, yesterday I realised I would have cleared about $220 for one day. So it'd be good to have that little Saturday job on the side, as well as continue, and as well as work full-time, obviously. You know, this is the thing, like, it's just, I've lived on promises with this plastics job. I waited for 6 weeks for them not even to get the contract. You know, same with this removal. Oh, it's going to fire up. Oh, it's going to get better. Nah, it's actually getting worse. No, the rubber's got to hit the road, and by orders of the welfare office, or I'm fucked, basically. So, yeah. And if you decide you can just go off welfare and sell a couple of silver bars and live off that, no, they still have the hours built up. So you still have all these hours allocated to you. So next time you're unemployed, you're straight into the mulch digging and shoveling and planting trees and stuff like this. And so yeah, you know, when the going gets tough, the tough have got to get going. And as a result, I've just got to go to the capital to get work, because there just ain't anything around here, and I just can't keep living on promises because it's too late. So yeah, anyways, that's what's going down with me. And those of you who pray for me, because it's going to be a bit of a hair-raising week. I have to travel damn near 3 hours away tomorrow to even sign up all these bank details and stuff like that. It's a hell of a long run on freeways, but yeah, this is, you know, just the way it is. It's the stupid bitch on the radio was sitting there going that this city has created 20,000 new jobs in the last year, and I felt like saying, fucking where? You know, and then they're talking about, oh, there's a carbon fibre centre, and I looked into that. But that's also only casual, and there's a whole lot of paperwork and hoop jumping I've got to go through to even get into that, only to be on just as much work as I'm on already with a removalist or something, you know. No guarantees. And the stupid bitch on the radio goes, oh, carbon fibre, could we use that to make clothes? And I'm like, no, you don't use carbon fibre to make clothes. Not when a particular person's bike that I put in the back of a removalist truck was worth $5,000 because it had a carbon fibre frame. She turns around and told me, yeah, he got a discount on it. And I'm like, it's $5,000 bike, a discount? And they're living in fairyland. Oh, look, you know, we've got our uniforms, our government uniforms being made overseas in China. And they said, well, what about a particular joint here, which was the warehouse I worked in? There's a clothing warehouse. Oh, we could be doing them here. Hello? One of the guys I work with in the removalists used to go to India and China to work out the deals with the subcontractors who bring all the clothes over. They unload shipping containers from a nearby port there and unload the boxes. And I saw all that happen while I was there. And everything is 100% Chinese or Indian made. And these dumb bastards are going, oh, well, if they have a clothing place here, maybe they could make our government uniforms. No, they have never made any of the clothing there in Australia. From day one, it's all been imported, probably at least from the mid-80s anyway, you know, and just, you know, some of the idiots here, I should have a go at said woman if I find out she's on the radio website. They're living in dreamland. They're not living in the real world, you know. This city is fucked. We've had an aluminium smelter closed. 3,500 people went out on their arse, including someone I knew, and that was about a year and a half ago. Now the auto plant's closed. Oil refinery has been taken over by another company, and you put 1 foot wrong and they'll sack you. They've even sacked the fire brigade in an oil refinery because they believe the guys who operate it can be trained up to basically be the private fire brigade for this oil refinery. And now they're using a whole bunch of overseas labour in that same oil refinery. Those guys deserved it, though, because they were on money that is fourfold what most people are on, and they pretty much pushed it too far with the union, and they signed their own death warrant that way. But anyways, that's what I'm up to this week, and it's going to be one hell of a week.